Alright, today we're going to look at one of the more useful skills in math, for mental math and for figuring things out, and that is multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. Now, I put decimals down here because it's in the decimals category, but it works with whole numbers as well, and it's very straightforward. Multiplying and dividing by powers of 10 basically involves moving a decimal point, and if you can do that mentally, you can do this kind of thing in your head. So let's take a look at something like this. 37 times 10, we know that equals 370, right? Because you just add a 0. 37 times 100, well, this time you add 2 zeros. 37 times 1,000, well, this time you add 3 zeros, right? But what's really happening? Let's take a look at where the decimal point is. The decimal point is at the end of a whole number. Remember that, right? It's right after the ones place, always after the ones place. So in a whole number, where's the ones place? It's the last digit, it's after that. So it's the end of a whole number. And so what has happened to the decimal point when I multiplied by 10? Well, it moved from here to here. It moved one place to the right. What about this when I multiplied by 100? Again, it moved, but it moved this time 2 places to the right. See the pattern there? So when I multiplied by 1,000, it moved how many places? 1, 2, 3 places to the right, right? So for each 0 here, that's the number of places it moves. These are called powers of 10. 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000, that's 10 to the third power, right? 10 to the first power, 10 to the second power, 10 to the third power, exponents. I think I've talked about that in a bit different video, but anyway, when you multiply by 10, each time you multiply by 10, the decimal point moves to the right one place. So I multiply by 10 once, it moves there. I multiply by 10 again, it moves there, because 10 times 10 is 100, right? I multiply by 10 again, because 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. It moves 3 places. So it's pretty easy, right? I mean, whenever you multiply by a power of 10, you're just going to move the decimal point to the right as many times as you multiply by 10. Now, that doesn't mean when you multiply by 20, you move it 2 places. No. Each time you multiply by 10. So when you multiply by 10 once, it moves 1 place. If you multiply by 10 again, it moves another place. And that's the same as multiplying by 100, not multiplying by 20. Multiplying by 20 is multiplying by 10, then multiplying by 2. That doesn't work. Now, the same principle applies when we're dividing. Let's take a look at this. 500 divided by 10. 500 divided by 10 is 50. 500 divided by 100 is 5. So what's been happening, we'll leave the next one for a second here. What's happening to the decimal point this time? Well, it's here, and now it's here. So what happened? Well, if we add that 0 back in here, 50.0, which is the same as 50, look what happened to the decimal point. It was out here, and then it moved over there. How many places did it move? 1, because it's 10, right? We're dividing by 10. But which direction? It moved left this time instead of right. Remember, this way is moving right, making the number bigger because we're multiplying. And this time it's moving left, making the number smaller because we're dividing, right? So if you divide by 10, it moves 1 place left. If you divide by 100, well, let's look at those original zeros that were there, 5.00, right? It's like $5.00. How many places did it move? Well, started here, went 1, 2 places left. So the same pattern happens as it does here, but instead of moving right with multiplying, you move left with dividing. And so I know 500 divided by 1,000 is going to move 3 places. So if it starts here, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and it's going to end up there. So my answer is going to be 0.5. 0.500 doesn't matter. 0.5, right? 0.5 is a half, and 500 is half of 1,000, so that makes sense. So again, it started out here. Use the green. And it went 1, 2, 3 places to the left when you divide by 1,000. So each time you divide by 10, it moves left 1 time. each time you multiply by 10, it moves right. So in a number like this, 3.97 divided by 100, well, what's it going to be? Well, I'll write my original number here. I'm going to leave a little bit of space. In fact, I need to just kind of make this whole thing a bit smaller, give myself some room. All right. So I'm going to write 3.97 here, like the original number. But it's going to divide, so it's going to move left or right? Well, it's going to move left on the divide. How many places? 2. It's going to move 2 places left. So here's my decimal point, and I'm going to just kind of move it one place. I got nothing to move it around, so I got to add a 0, and then move it 2 places. So there's the answer to that. And we always put a 0 in front of a decimal point. 0.0397. Again, it started here, right? And since we're dividing by 100, it goes once, twice to the left. All right? So this one down here now, 42.6 times 1,000. I'm going to write my 42.6 and grab my decimal point. My decimal point is going to move, I'll take part of the 6 with it, 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing there, so I've got to add something. I'm going to add some zeros. Okay. So, I guess I'm going to make that bigger. Move it. Move. Oh, being obnoxious. Okay, let's reselect. Come on. Move your bum. Okay, so we got 42.6 to begin with. It moves 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. And we end up with a number 42,600. Add that little bit in with the 6. There we go. So that's how it's done. It's pretty straightforward. Remember, each time you multiply by 10, it moves, decimal point moves 1 place to the right. Each time you divide by 10, it moves 1 place to the left. So if you're multiplying by 100, then you're timesing it by 10 by 10. So it moves twice, and so on.